happy to see so many people. We have 16 people who've joined us, which is lovely, for the wonderful summer reading of Rain Dog Armstrong and Thelma Reyna. And we're very happy to have such great features and that we have so many attendees, including Mariko Kitakubo from Japan, who has to get up very early, and various people across Southern California who are connected to our wonderful readers in some way or another. So that's great. And Village Poets will have the anthology done very soon. I got my proof copy. Look.
Oh, great.
Yay. So I'm going to sit with this and then I'm going to give it to Marlene and I'm going to read through on paper to see if I compare with my emails, because I have a lot of emails from authors, to see if I missed anything, because then we'll have it. It's pretty lovely. I think what I did was painting for a paper, and then for the back cover, I flipped it backwards. So it doesn't show on this, there's no seam on the back. Wow. So it's kind of funky looking. It's the funniest looking book of my books. They're mostly looking more serious than this one, but it's cool. It's nice. We are here. It's called We Are Here, and we are here on Zoom. And therefore, let's start our reading with two poets from our organizing committee, Joe DeCenzo and Dorothy Skiles. Joe was poet laureate number 3. I thought it was 4.
Boy, that was a long time ago.
Long time ago.
A long time. And Dorothy, what, you were 7, you were after me, right?
Yeah.
And so let's start. I think we do just 2 poems, maximum if they're shorter, and 1 if it's longer, okay?
I got some.
Welcome, Joe DeCenzo.
Is my microphone set okay? I could get in and fiddle if you guys are hearing me all right. I got a thumbs up from Mariano.
I can hear you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, we can hear you, Joe.
Do you identify as Vicky?
No. My wife has her name on all of our, everything that we do that's legal. So I just, my name
I'm not stalling. Tell me your name.
Scott.
Oh, Scott. Scott Galasso.
Anyway, Scott, good to see you. Thanks
Vicky
a lot.
puts her name on everything before I can get to it, so.
Great. I'll go ahead and kick us off. I'm sure I'm not alone in saying how much I miss being at Bolton Hall. I don't miss being at Bolton Hall on 102-degree weather day.
No.
So this will probably be, that much better for us. And the things that have come up, everybody is dealing with whatever to get through. I've got some very, very long ongoing family issues. And I hope that I'm actually on the tail end side. My mother's just gotten home from the hospital. She had 2 kidney surgeries this week. So I think, boom, we've gotten over the hump, but I'll let you all know. So I needed a little bit of levity to sort of see me through. My first poem is titled, If I Could Learn. Perhaps it was a big surprise the other evening when you called to hear about my troubled state and realize it's not my choice. Regardless of the lumps and bumps, despite the wounds that I sustained beyond the sour, you must know there's nothing sweeter than your voice. Your warmth and deep concern will pull me up from love's abyss. Grant me the words that can explain why I'm disposed to look like this. A garden mocked me from afar, preposterous with a vile claim. The beauty that it hence possessed put anything I know to shame. My arms are scabby, scarred, and bruised from climbing through the nettle's thorn to reach the fairest of its rose, defend with pride the love I've sworn. I pulled the rose up by the roots and shouted loud for all to hear, your loveliness outshines them all. A bee then stung me on my ear. Undaunted by this irritant, I ambled to the shady tree. I heard the singing of a lark, and that explains the patch, you see. I told it how my angel's voice brought music down from heaven's sky. When I approached its perch, it turned and pecked the corner of my eye. I stumbled home, looked for your mail. I cut my hand upon the slot. I spoke your name while boiling tea and burnt my tongue upon the pot. My hand is bandaged from the cuts, my swollen tongue's a blistered mess. It's likely I'd be healthier if I could learn to love you less.
Wow. Way to go, Joe.
Thank you. I appreciate. All I'm seeing is like waving hands, and a lot of you guys are muted. But I think that's better. So this one is indeed about family, and it's about my mother. It's titled Lasagna. From incompatible ingredients, love's expression baked to perfection in the oven of her heart. Starting with a clear dish that all could see through, she greased it with patience and rubbed stamina on all sides so nothing would stick and nothing would burn. She boiled sheets of immiscible personalities and rebellious disposition until they were pliant and flexible, but firm to the tooth, al dente. In the stew pot, she combined a paste of different mindsets and manners, slices of quarrels and disputes, hearty chunks of tension, a dash of skirmish, a pinch of struggles, serenely stirred and blended until the flavors coalesced. In the bosom of her dish, she layered each character between a ladle full of piquant sauce, each creature exclusive and unique, distributing a savory and palatable aroma throughout the room. Drawn by what she created, no one strayed from the table before reaching their fill of the family casserole.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right, our second open mic poet is Dorothy Skiles, who was a poet laureate right after me. So we had a wonderful ceremony in McGraw Art Center, which I also miss because it's still closed. Anyway, Dorothy, your turn.
Thank you. Arrival. Womb empties. Cradle of flesh, cradle of bone, baby born, soul and spirit. First breath, first cries, primal memories deep inside, unremembered. Swaddled in a tapestry of tribal traditions, soon to make her mark, like the sound of chalk against a blank slate. Thank you. Hey, Tonka, my telescope points at Jupiter and 4 moons clearly visible to my eyes. For this moment, I see my world through a different lens. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so now let's go to this one. And let's welcome our first poet. There she is. Oh, sorry, I have to admit somebody. Okay, that's good. Thelma Reyna, Dr. Thelma Reyna. Her books have collectively won 14 national literary awards. She's written 6 books, short story collection, The Heavens Weep for Us and Other Stories, 2 poetry chapbooks, Breath and Bone and Hearts in Common, and 3 full-length poetry collections, Rising, Falling, All of Us, Reading Tea Leaves After Trump, which won 6 national book honors in 2018, and Dearest Papa, a memoir in poems, published in 2020. A poet laureate in Altadena in the years 2014-2016, she edited Altadena Poetry Review Anthology in 2015 and 16. Her fiction, poetry, and nonfiction have appeared in literary journals, anthologies, textbooks, blogs, and regional media, print and online, for over 25 years. She was a Pushcart Prize nominee in 2017 and winner of a California State Legislator Award, Women in Business, author most inspirational in 2011. She's a founder and owner of editing consultancy, The Writing Pros, based in Pasadena, and of a multiple award-winning indie book publisher, Golden Foothill Press. She received her Ph.D. from UCLA. Please welcome Thelma Reyna, who will speak to us and read us her poetry for 20 minutes. Where's Thelma?
Hi, how are you? Okay,
All
good.
right.
That's everybody. I like to be able to see the people. Thank you so much, Maya, Sunland-Tujunga, Dorothy Skiles, and everyone else for inviting me today. And I am just totally delighted to be co-featuring with R.D. Armstrong. He's a person that I've had a lot of regard for over the years for all the things that he has accomplished. So I'm really delighted to be here. I'd like to mention a couple of books that I'd like to bring to your attention. Maya very kindly read the probably overly long biography. I apologize. Dearest Papa, a memoir and poems. This came out early this year, just before the pandemic struck. So all the events we had got canceled. So I'm so delighted to be on Zoom and to be able to share the word this way. This is a memoir and poems. Right now it's up for 2 international literary awards, one in poetry in English written by one author and one in best biography. I was very surprised and delighted that even though this is a poetry collection of memoir and poems, that it fit into a biography category. And this is through the International Latino Book Awards. So I'll keep you posted on that. But the readings that I will do today will be from here, and I'll tell you a little bit more about this. I'd like to give you all a heads up. You guys are among the very, very first people in the entire nation to see this book. This book is scheduled to come out next month. And I don't know if you can see it. This is about the pandemic, and it is called When the Virus Came Calling, COVID-19 Strikes America. And I'm very happy that I'm having the opportunity to collaborate with 44 poets and prose writers from across the nation. All told, there are about a dozen states, even Washington, D.C., and even Costa Rica are represented by authors in this book. And the charge, my vision for this book, I thought about it in February. My vision was to bring together poets, writers, prose writers that I knew from across America, and with a very, very tight time frame, starting in February and publishing it in September, to have these distinguished, wonderful poets. Maya's in it, R.D. Armstrong is in it, Marlene Hitt, whom you know, is in it. Just a lot of people you all know are in it. To have them talk about this pandemic in real time. It has over 100 pieces in it, 265 pages, and the writings, whether it's a prose poem, a regular poem, a personal essay, or a short fiction, all the writings relate to right now, living through this pandemic. Ever since the very beginning, and you know, some of them had written stuff before I reached out to them, up until the end of July. So the first 7 months of this pandemic, historic pandemic, only in our country, even though it has ravaged the world, that is what these writings are about. And I'm just so, so deeply humble and honored and thankful that all of these wonderful writers agreed to come on board with this project. So keep your eye out for this, When the Virus Came Calling. And this is coming out hopefully in September. Now, and I'll keep Maya and your other colleagues posted so they can pass the word. Any questions so far? And I'm sorry I'm talking so much and probably too fast. Any questions so far?
No,
All right.
good.
Thank you so much. Now let me tell you a little bit about this book, my little memoir. And it's a little book. It's just a little book. I was married for 50 years to my husband, Vic, who was a high school math teacher. We have 2 children, and from those 2 children, we have 3 grandkids. And in October of 2018, my husband went in. I took him that morning to a hospital, very prominent hospital in the area, to have a very, very minor 1-hour outpatient surgery regarding his arm. It's going to be a small incision in his arm. A little medical device was going to be implanted. we had a dinner date that night. My husband died in surgery. And as you can imagine, it was highly, highly devastating. He died as soon as anesthesia went into his body. And it was just a huge loss for our family. So after 50 years of marriage, I walked out the door that morning with my husband, happy, talking about our dinner date. And I came home by myself that night around 11 p.m. And within about 2 weeks after that devastating day, October 5th, 2018, I started writing. I just started writing this book. I knew I wanted to talk about him. I wanted to talk about what kind of person he was. I wanted to talk about our long marriage together, about our children, our family, his values, the difference he had made in the world. And I knew that I wanted it to be in poetry. I did not want to have a regular bio, nothing that looked like a textbook. It had to be poems. And so this is how it came to me. I spent my entire first year mourning as a widow. The first year of my widowhood, I spent it writing the book. So I began it in mid-October, and I finished it shortly after the 1-year anniversary of his death. And then it was issued at the beginning of this year, 2020. So I have been very delighted that the book has resonated with other people. As I mentioned, it's up for it's already won 2 awards, and it's up for the first prize in each of those categories, and some others are also hopefully coming forth. People from all across the nation are responding to this, which tells us as authors, all of us as authors, that when we write from the heart, when we're not afraid to open up our heart and share the tough things, to talk about grief, to talk about loss, to talk about love, to talk about family, to talk about nature as a balm, because nature is very much a balm in here. When we write from the heart and we write authentically, this is probably writing that's going to touch some hearts out there. And I think that we as authors, I think that that's what we want to do with our writing. We want to open up other people's hearts and souls and brains to understanding and living other people's experiences. So that's what this is about. And I open up the book with a foreword. And if it's okay with you, I'd like to read it's just a 2-page foreword, but I'd like to read a couple of paragraphs that basically tell one of my goals in writing this book. Of course, it was cathartic. It was my first year of grieving. And what better way to go through every day of loss than with the ability to express what you're going through. So he and I grew up poor in Texas. We met in college. He was the son of an immigrant. I am a 5th generation American. My grandparents, my maternal grandparents, never ever went to school in their lives. I grew up learning Spanish, speaking Spanish, and raised by my grandparents as well as my parents. So it was a tough life, but still we married. Simple home ceremony, paper plates, plastic spoons in the living room of our little house, neighbors, relatives, that was it. And I mentioned in the foreword that was such an inauspicious beginning, but we lasted 50 years. And so this is the part that I want to read to you. I tell you all this because in the foreword, I'm talking about that beginning and then the sadness of its loss. I tell you all this with reverence for what we, all of us, don't know, and with dismay that many of us live every day with unmoored assumptions of our longevity. We clock in and out of interactions with one another, march lockstep in perfunctory duties that we can do, words we can mouth, with dissociation from brain and heart. Not all of us, not all the time, but enough of us, and often enough, that when a loved one is ripped away suddenly, the pain is exponential, epidemic, touching all of us like the ever-spreading concentric circles of an atomic bomb. Hardly a day passes that I don't think of an incident, a conversation, no matter how trivial, that I had with my husband, particularly in the last 2 years of his life when his health was failing, wherein I am not moved by regret at what I said or failed to say to him. I wish the wife back then knew clearly what the widow now knows about impermanence, about ensuring that our loved ones know clearly and unfailingly how much they mean to us, how much they enrich our lives, because we'll be telling them this regularly with our heart and soul. In my small book here, I attempt to show how these threads of life are interwoven, with relationships evolving and surviving as love, family, and nature line up to mitigate the stab of loss. It is a modest memoir of my husband's life and our life together, as well as a tribute to his goodness and devotion. May our dearest Papa, all the kids called him Papa, so all the adults did too, be gazing, listening, and smiling his resplendent smile from his otherworldly home. So one poem that I'll read is called Old Habits. And it's just about how sometimes we forget who's here and who's not. Old habits. How easy it is, how easy for the brain to trick us into wiping pain away, into thinking you're here at my door, or in the kitchen by my side, sipping at the mug, sighing at the early hour, calling my name, your mouth at my ear. How easy, how easy. The brain contorts memory to shadows of itself, clipping connections to calendars and seasons, children growing into future mists we veil over when we're tricked. I hear footsteps, jingling keys, the gentle click of a door unlocked, water lapping at your washbowl, gentle, curling, steaming stream gurgling, and you humming as you shave your neck. How easy it is to hear those precious sounds again, these tiny tunes of love, tricking death and me with double shots of cruelty, warmth at the reliving, then stabs of recollection of seeing you lowered, sinking, roses sliding to the soil. So that's one poem. And then this one here, page 40, is how the doctor informed me what had happened. He called me out of the waiting room where I had been waiting, and I was taken by his scrub nurse down the hall to a darkened room. And he was sitting there with his mask around his neck and his scrubs, the nurse right next to me. And I didn't know why I was being called out of the waiting room, but my heart had sunk already. This is exactly what happened on that occasion. Dear doctor, all of us are fallible. You should have offered me a chair when your scrub nurse summoned me from the waiting room. Mask pulled around your neck. You should have stood when I entered, knowing as you did. You should have spoken soft, looked me in the eye, said you're moving heaven and earth to save him. You should have held my hand because you remembered you never saw him without me. But all of us are fallible. You sat, I stood, while your pursed lips played your line, not looking good, not looking good, 5 times, your warmest lines. As if any other surgery, you said to me, return outside and wait. You should have known he cupped his life into your hands before your anesthesia sealed his eyes and stomped his heart. You should have said, I'm sorry, so very, very sorry, before you rose and walked away from me. And how are we doing, Maya, for time? Do I have one more, two more?
Yeah, yeah, you have lots of time.
Okay.
Yeah, 10 minutes, I think. You started at 10 to 5 and now, so you have until 5:10.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. All right, I will read this one that was on the anniversary of his death. I'm sorry, no, this was on our wedding anniversary, my first anniversary alone. So this one is called February 3rd, 2019, our wedding anniversary. Our wedding anniversary today, 51 years, if you were still here. Rain that stayed away when we surrendered you to earth last fall pummels me when I bring you a bouquet. We celebrated last year's 50th with dinner and champagne. Now I walk the grass alone, mist hovering on headstones as I wend my way to your ribbon of ground. Companion tears, clouds sand soak my parka black. My rubber boots sink in sod and upturned soil on new plots. At your shoulders, your marble pillow slick with rivulets. I lay flowers like those you used to give, like what you would have set on my bedstand this morning if you were here. Bouquets you gave for 50 years. Okay, and then here's an example of how nature was a balm. Nature always is a balm. I think even now in these pandemic times, nature is a balm. And this is Cloud Gods. Taking a walk, getting away, being in nature. Cloud Gods. Cloud gods got together this morning, coated lapis on ceramic skies, swooshed cotton contrail on distant hills, and disappeared the streak in pines. Got sun to slant on hopscotch puddles holding fast to concrete cracks, mirrors shimmying my steps, sun coax from hiding, just for me. Who stationed birds on this burly arc of oak? This arm that bends close to my path. Who posted birds on this fountain by the fens, bubbling invitations to swoop and bathe? Who sprayed all these picket fences white, fixed gates, and put geraniums by new posts? Got garnet blooms to tap me as I pass, recalling I'm the widow down the street. Rain and record codes have prisoned me with books, keyboards, calendars, clocks. But cloud gods popped genie lamps today to make this magical world my gift. And just a couple of more. This one is, this is how grief goes. And it has an epitaph. I'm sure all of you are very familiar with Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who died a few years ago. And she was an expert on grief and loss, and she's the one that gave us the 5 stages of grief and loss. And this is from one of her books. And the epigraph says, when we are grieving, people may wonder about us, and we may wonder about ourselves. And that's the quote. When loss is swift, when it strikes like a viper in a pot, blunting hopes and well-laid plans, the hole that swallows us is bottomless and fierce. Emptiness unspools like mummy's tape, endless, frayed, muffling, gagging, dooming lips and eyes to tombs devoid of words and light, stripped of loving hands, caverns of ululations. Loss flattens us. But this is how grief goes. This is how we sink to rise, how brokenness is patched together again, how despair ultimately defies death. And I'd like to end on after the last act. It's page 104 here. One of my simplest poems ever that I've written. Sometimes I look at it and say, did a little kindergartner write this? It's so simple. After the last act. No curtain call for me. When the drama's done, sooner or late, I'll rush backstage and seek you out. You'll be there. Our tears will be our bravos as we meld our soul bodies into one again. And smile at the scenes I botched, my anemic lines of heroism, my maudlin moments, my final soliloquy of hope. You played the script before and left the boards not long ago to sit backstage and wait for me. You knew we'd meet once more. And so we shall. I'll set up residence backstage, immortal lovers, you and I, after the final act.
That was really beautiful. Thank you so very much, Thelma. I can't imagine losing a husband of 50 years because I never lasted in any of my marriages. So this is a really, it was really special, you know, this longevity. And I went to the funeral. There was so beautiful to see all the people who were expressing their words of praise for your husband and talking about the great person he was. There were so many people from so many walks of life, that from the different areas of his life that were there. It was
well, thank you. Thank you for having done that, Maya. I appreciate your support and your kindness.
Yeah, I figured, you know, you need some poets too, even though I didn't. Well, I only knew him from the Altadena parties. When you had Altadena poetry review parties in your backyard, then I met him and I talked to him then, and I thought you were a beautiful couple. But it's also a beautiful and very courageous thing to do, to pour grief into words and shape it. So it kind of helps you carry you through the grief. I did when I started writing poetry. My first 100 poems were all very, very dark and very depressed because I just moved to Canada and I lost everything I had. And all of a sudden, I'm in a new world, a new country, across the ocean from my life, and what I'm supposed to do now with myself. So I had to reinvent myself, and poetry was one way of doing it. So yeah, but it's very, very touching. So I think to change the pace, I thought, well, maybe we could have Mariko. Mariko, are you there? Have you reading your sequence of tankas, and then on to the next reader. Okay, so one more round of applause for Thelma. Thank you very much. Thank you. And then we'll have Mariko in between, and then we move on to RD for the second reader. Let me just find my screen.
Okay.
Just a minute. I'm supposed to find the screen. And
thank you very much for nice suggestion, because
there you go.
My sequence. I'd like to send my prayer for Thelma, because this is a kind of we have in Japan, we have the Obon festival. I don't know all of us, all of you knew about this. Obon is just like a festival for the ancestors, like Halloween. So the title is Traveler.送り火の煙の行方しばらくは閉ざさずにおり、世と世の境。Here will the smoke travel a bonfire. I keep the door open between this world and another. Naki hoshi no hikari mo todoku kanpan ni oya tachi no koe kiku kannazuki. Visible light of dead stars on the deck. I want to hear ancestor voices. Lisbon no tomo to nomu sake, Kiristan, narishi senzo mo tomo ni iru rashi. Enjoying the winter wine with friend who lives in Lisbon. My Christian ancestors, join us too. Senkyo no kodoku no ika ni fukakaran taiseiyo ga amari ni aoshi. How deep the solitude of a missionary. The Atlantic Ocean looks so midnight blue. I'd like to tell you the small information. The first missionary who came to Japan was Portuguese. The nuance, the relationship with my ancestors and me, they were the Christian daimyo, the top of the samurai in a part of Kyushu area. One of them was baptized by Portuguese missionary. Thank you very much for hearing.
Wow, that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow. So that was very, very interesting. Thank you very much. It was.
Thank you very much.
And the nice
very
change because
inspirational.
we're talking from Thelma's book about her husband, which was beautiful.
Yes.
Through your poems of ancestors. So now we'll switch to another topics. Okay, let me go back to my screen.
I am sure her husband is the visible light of dead stars.
Yes, he is a star, definitely a star of the stars. Okay.
Especially for you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we'll have a second poet, and I found a picture and I wrote a bio, and everybody knows in the poetry world, I shouldn't cut off his face, that's for sure. That's not nice. Oh, that's better. Yeah, because you just don't have
if you could do a split screen, you could put the top half here.
Oh yeah.
And the bottom half here, and I could move my lips, and it would look like he's talking. Of course, I could just be really stoned. I don't know.
So Ardi is the editor of Lamok's poetry anthologies. It's the 9th this year, and he wrote many and published many books, including On and Off the Beaten Path, Roadkill, Last Call, The Legacy of Charles Bukowski, I want to say, because it's Polish last name.
That's okay.
In America, right? The Hunger, El Pagano and Other Twisted Tales, Fire and Rain, Selected Poems, and E.O.R., Living Amongst the Mangled, Working the Wreckage of the American Poem, and Unchainable Spirit, A Poetic Farewell to Mike Adams. And then the most recent one is Tracking the Rabbit. And he has a website, lumaexpress.com, and there's lots of interviews available online, so you can listen to various interviews, which is lots of fun. And so this is the introduction. Let me stop sharing the screen now. And everybody, please welcome our featured poet number 2, R.D. Dog.
Hi, everybody. You hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Actually, my latest book is this one, Orphaned Words. And this came about because I wanted to put a book out and I just hadn't been writing. So I went back in the archives and I picked the other half of the archive that I never published because I didn't think it was good enough. That's what this book became. And people tell me that this is the best stuff I've ever written. So go figure. So I'm going to read a couple poems from here and some other stuff. But I'd like to start out with this poem that I wrote, which I think sums up the whole pandemic from a rather simplistic sort of Buddhist kind of way, possibly Mexican kind of way, because Thelma was telling me about this. It's called It Is What It Is. It's very short. Before the virus, beans and rice. During the virus, rice and beans. After the virus, beans and rice. I think that kind of sums it up. So, okay, let's see. First, I'm going to read a poem by Charles Bukowski because I can. And, you know, it was his centennial was a couple of days ago, the 20th. And I'm sure he was surprised to make it to 100. All right. It's a rough crowd here, man. It's a rough room. Gee. No, I'm not as serious as Thelma is because
No,
I've had a lot of experiences. Don't get me wrong, but I've never
is your mic on?
talking about. Okay, is my mic on?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay, I hear you now.
Okay, good. Your mic is on really good. Okay, so this is so I've been reading Bukowski for probably 50 years. And just a quick thing, I back in 08 when we had the economic adjustment, I sold my Bukowski collection because I was having trouble making the rent. It was the only thing I had of value. So 45 books, you know. And now I have some money, so I'm rebuying the books that I are rebuying copies of the books that I sold. So I might still have a Bukowski library. Wouldn't that be nice? Anyway, this is from Love is a Dog from Hell, and it's called About Cranes. Sometimes after you get your ass kicked real good by the forces, you often wish you were a crane standing on one leg in blue water. But there's the old upbringing, you know. You don't want to be a crane standing on one leg in blue water. The distress is not enough. And the victory limps. A crane can't buy a piece of ass or hang itself at noon in Monterey. These are some of the things that humans can do besides stand on one leg. Okay, let's see. Let's save that one for later. Okay, all right. This is, I put out my first collection, I put it out as a 2-volume set because I felt like it was going to be too presumptuous of me to put out a thick book. But now I'm thinking about combining it into one thick book because it's, you know, everything else is in a thick book. This collection's called Fire and Rain. It's 2 parts. And let's see, where am I going here? Criminy. Sorry, I usually set these things up before I read, and it doesn't look like I've done that this time. Criminy. All right, let's just pick one. All All right, this is a poem about a guy I used to know when I lived in Venice. It's called Johnny. Johnny, 4 days in country, bawling in pain, AK-47 shrapnel ricocheting through his torso like a steel ball in a pachinko machine. Johnny in a war that he didn't understand. Johnny with his gun ready to kick some gook ass, instead getting his ass kicked. Johnny, a regular at the VA, keeps the bits of shrapnel that they continue to remove in a jar with the lid screwed down tight. Sometimes at night, the shrapnel calls to him, pleading with him to finish the job that was started years ago. He sucks on the muzzle of his pretty blue gun, driving his girlfriend crazy. He's disabled and has learned to live in that system, has learned to live with his disability, with his pain, with his slow death by surrender. Johnny is already dead, laying down, waiting for some words and a handful of dirt. That's it. That's the end of the poem. This damn headset is driving me crazy. All right, let's see here. Okay. So this is the second volume of that particular setup, and this is one of my favorite poems. It's called Yardbird Burned. Yardbird being Charlie Yardbird Parker, famous saxophone player. I believe it was a tenor sax. Jazz guy, really good. Yardbird burned, all wick, no candle. Made it to the sun and back, unlike Icarus. Yardbird couldn't burn out. His spirit was the flame by which he burned. Yardbird burned till there was only a husk left, till all the notes, the bebop and bitty black notes, were piled at his feet like cigar ash. Yardbird swung his sax in a mighty arc, like an axe, spinning like a dervish, carving a niche out of the don't take it for granite walls of swing jazz tradition. Yardbird shaped a bop cigar sarcophagus out of his too brief time spent on planet Earth. The bop line firing volley after volley of bitty black notes skyward, unleashing them like blackbirds, blotting out reality's harsh light till the wee hours. Yardbird was never at ease, at rest, fingers always a blur, accelerating until time shifted gears in self-defense into slow motion, then to stand still. Yardbird smiled because only he saw the joke. Yardbird burned. Did not really play his sax, it played him until his reed fell apart, broke down, disintegrated, broke bird down. Time finished him with a smile on his face, death by cosmic relief. You say it was H that took his life, but you're wrong. H lulled Mr. Charlie into slowing down. Hypno enticed him. H slowed him down, promised him the means to survive this heartbreak we call life. H slowed the bird down, gave time a clean shot. Time took it from there. Yardbird burns still. Okay. Thought maybe you guys had died or something while I was, or fallen asleep. Which actually is a common problem.
No, you know it's better if we turn our microphones off because all
Well, I know that. I know that.
Okay. No,
Yeah.
we're
We're very
into it.
much alive and we're very much listening. That's why you have
All right.
when you finish, because we will be waving our hands.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's.
Look, somebody has a copy of my book. Oh, several copies of my book. Look at that. He's got both of ours, Thelma.
Oh, look at it.
That must be that Charles Harmon maniac.
Jack.
Charles
Jack's on
Harmon
top of it.
Okay, so let's see what the other poem in here was. Okay, I think this poem has a sort of a germane quality to it in that it was written in the 90s. late 90s perhaps. Refugees in America. How can this be happening? Didn't we pay millions of dollars to prevent this? Wake up, America, you paid millions of dollars to line the pockets of some bureaucrats in Homeland Security. You paid part of your hard-earned wages so somebody else could have a nice home in the burbs of Washington, or maybe have a nicer car, or even a nice retirement condo down in Florida. Get real, America. Don't be shocked by the lawlessness, the looting down of Narlands. The civility is a thin veneer, and once it's gone or has been interrupted for enough hours, all hell breaks loose. The same thing could happen anywhere. The poor, the print is very small, I'm sorry. I need a magnifying glass along with my glasses. The poor are exploitable commodity. They are shuffled about like the unwanted stepchildren of a marriage gone dangerously wrong, the marriage between industry and social services. The poor constitute a pool of easy workers, always available no matter what shit job is needed or what welfare quota must be filled. The poor are a welcome mat for politicians, always available for a photo op or a soundbite. Remember Saddam Hussein stroking the head of a frightened son of a British diplomat right before the Gulf War began? The poor are the podium upon which all politicians take credit. And what of the poor of Narlands? They are called miserable, wretched, cannibals, scum, refugees. Refugees in America. My God, refugees in America. The government tells us this can't be happening. They say they've got it under control. Just keep giving them your money. For Christ's sake, wake up, America. Maybe now they'll heed my warning. Okay, that's it.
Okay, I'm turning my microphone back on.
Turn the microphone on there, Reyna.
What?
Right on.
Say what?
I said I had to turn my microphone on so you could know that.
Oh, I got it. I got it. I'm used to being in a kind of a noisy, combustible reading because
Aren't we all?
I don't get much respect, so people are, and if people get silent, I either think they've fallen asleep or they're mad at me for some reason.
Paranoia is a good, it's a muse. Use it.
Oh, yeah, paranoia. What a wonderful thing it is. I have to tell you that it's hard for me to read these poems from the old days, because I kind of had an epiphany about a month ago, and I don't feel perpetually depressed like I was when I wrote these poems. So I don't know if I should tell you about what happened or if I should just continue to muddle through my book. What do you think?
It's your choice. You can tell us about your epiphany. It's always good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have epiphanies very often, it's kind of like bowel movements, I've lived a very off the grid kind of lifestyle for most of my life. I sort of lived in a self-imposed poverty because I didn't like the way the government spent my tax money. So I didn't want them to have any more of my money than is remotely possible. I paid gas tax and that kind of stuff, sales tax, but I just didn't like the shenanigans that they get up to. I mean, this current administration, I'm so glad I haven't paid any taxes to them. I'm like Trump, I don't pay taxes. But that's going to change now because I inherited a bunch of money when my mom died, which was New Year's Eve of last year. And I don't have to work. I don't have to worry about anything. So what am I doing? I'm spending my own money as part of, that's my new project. And as a result, I get sort of the instantaneous gratification of handing somebody some money and having them respond back to me. And that exchange that happens when they realize that I'm serious and I'm not going to take it back. Unlike poetry, which for me doesn't have much gratification except when I do a reading like this, and you know, so if I seem a little bit distracted, it's because part of me is going, you don't need to read this shit. You got better things to do, man. You should be giving out some money. So I've given out about $8,000 in the last month and a half. So, you know, so if any of you happen to be in financial distress, please contact me. Maybe we can work something out.
Thank you. That's so awful nice.
That's really generous.
It's
You
my
like
PSA for this.
Really
Remember
generous.
the guy that gives out $1 bills goes around? Are you doing that also?
Father Dollar.
Yes,
Father
you
Dollar.
just hand out money to people.
I'm giving more like $500.
Oh, wow, that's cool. Very nice. Thank
And
you.
I've given it to not only to poets but also to poetry centers, cultural centers,
A lot
homeless shelters, food banks. You know, I'm making the rounds.
Yeah, very good. Because especially in the arts, a lot of people are in trouble. And in,
Yeah, I know.
Hollywood business, right? The movie business, the music business, people out of work and don't, you know, and the artistic people, especially the creative ones. And
Yeah.
they made them living from that, they're really in deep trouble. Like for me, I work for a nonprofit that's essential. I have essential paper in my wallet. I go around saying, with the paper says, if the police goes by, you know, they have to let me through any barricades. I'm essential for my work. I do grant proposals and therefore I should be in my office. But other people are not so lucky. Oh, poets are essential.
Okay.
That's what they should do.
People are essential workers.
Poets are essential workers. Yes, that's what we should all believe. But that's
Hey, listen, I've got t-shirts. I've got this t-shirt. I made this t-shirt.
Really, that's awful.
I've got some other t-shirts too that are more COVID oriented. But let's get back to the poetry reading.
Yes.
I don't want to lose any time here. Got a lot of stuff I want to do, and you know. I think I'm going to just forge ahead and continue to bombard myself with my old pathetic life, and then maybe I'll try to finish it on a more positive note. Plus, I also have to talk about Lummox number 8, which is out, and Lummox number 9 is I just got the files back, so I can start publishing or start printing it. That's going to be nice. But I also want to bring to the table that not only do I publish my own work, Maya, I also publish a lot of other people. I've got about, I don't know, a little bit over 200 titles that I've published over the years. But I'm not very good at it, so I'm gonna have to step away from it because it's driving me crazy, and my mind's starting to go, and you know. So here's a happy-go-lucky poem called Sad and Lonesome Blues. I'm so sad and lonesome. I'm beyond crying. When I try to squeeze out a tear or two, I only get dust. I'm so sad and lonesome, wolves come to me to howl for them. I'm so sad and lonesome, poets become giddy in my presence. I'm so sad and lonesome, grieving mothers from around the world turn to me for solace. I'm so sad and lonesome, birds stop singing whenever they fly over my house. The sun doesn't shine on my garden anymore. I'm so sad and lonesome, fruit in the trees wither and drop as I walk by. I'm so sad and lonesome, Even crabgrass dies underfoot as I cross a lit neighbor's lawn. Why am I so sad and lonesome? Because no one comes around to see me. And since no one comes around, I get even sadder and more lonesome. And that's how sad and lonesome I am. Even old Hank W. was never that lonesome or that sad.
Hmm.
Yeah, pretty pathetic. But let's see. There's a poem at the back here, I think. This is a poem from my days in San Pedro. I lived there where Bukowski was still alive. We had a weird kind of a checkered past, so I didn't see him as much as I would have liked to. This is called Zen Fuck You. The human being is prone to a self-imposed oblivion. Aware of the impending downfall, the days begin to slip away from me in a defiance of logic. The lesson of history is those who do not learn from the mistakes of the past must repeat them, implying that death is inevitable until we figure otherwise. That despite our best intentions and efforts, all we know and love and hate will be so much dust after our passing. The legacy of all my days will neither serve nor hinder the passage of time, nor alter the seasons, nor rearrange the stars. But I could be wrong. And it's in the believing of that keeps me in the dilemma. Is life really just a conveyor belt that dumps us into the great belching, fire-breathing mouth of an uncaring eternity? Are we just bouncing along, heading into the wind, supposing that some act or another will be immortalized and that somehow we will cheat death in some small way, perhaps living beyond our oh so infinite span, or not infinite, I'm sorry, our so finite span? All of this I deduce while watching the parade down 6th Street. Poetry in motion as life unfolds. Saturday morning, the jazz is thumping. The biggest cat in the world resides in the window. What the hell's he thinking about? The red awning enshrines the law office 378 next to the Japanese restaurant that rejects Oriental philosophy, Zen fuck you. The glass mirrors the traffic flow. Cars and moving bodies merge in both directions at the point of intersection, a geometric anomaly like hate, love, or fear, desire. Like phone calls that turn ugly or stop making sense in mid-sentence, or like shadow ghosts lurking just beyond the periphery of one's vision, or bad feelings over coffee, or the smells of decay and old age. I just can't get away from the rot. Maybe it's being 46. Now that tells you how long ago I wrote this, because now I'm 69. Maybe it's being 46 and not feeling that I am old. And yet the fact is I am. Whatever the implications are, it's inescapable. And next year I'll be 47, and so on, and so on, and so on, until the dust collects.
Hmm.
Cheery, happy-go-lucky poetry. All right, so let's see. I wanted to read I actually it was weird. The pandemic started, and all of a sudden I started writing poetry. And I think part of it, a big part of it was Thelma, who was very forceful in her request for some poetry from me. So I actually had been writing something for somebody else, and then I wrote something for her anthology. There's an anthology out by Hiram LaRue. It's called Poetry X Hunger, and it's a anti-hunger project that he's doing with people around the world are in this book, including myself. Okay, so let's see if we can find the damn poem here. Come on. It's probably right at the front. Oh, there it is. Okay, here we go. This is the poem that I wrote. Well, let's see. Let me do the poem that I wrote for Thelma's book, and that we can give you a little taste of what's inside the book. Why not? It's all about helping each other out. Right, Thelma? Okay. The spinning plate of hunger. When I think of hunger, it's usually in terms of the most innocent babies of the world. Babies, be they black, white, pink, brown, yellow, tan, even blue. Oh, wait. Blue babies happen when hunger wins. When they lull in mother's arms covered in flies with their little eyes glazed over in Africa or India or some other foreign land, flies feasting on their innocence, but always somewhere else, never here, not here in the good old USA. It can't happen here. Oh, but yes, it can. We pride ourselves in maintaining a higher quality of poverty than the rest of the world, as if one could quantify suffering per capita as in, what is your level of hunger today? We are conscientious about keeping records, keeping, qualifying, measuring, comparing. We don't know much about this disease, but we have a lot of data. One thing we know is that hunger is a constant, no matter what diseases are making the rounds. Hunger is a spinning plate that no food can ever stick on, a plate that must be kept spinning come hell or high water. It's our cross to bear, our national obsession. But what good is a plate if you can't get the food to stay on it? What kind of a joke is this? Nobody is laughing here. Okay. How am I doing for time, Maya? Got to turn your microphone on.
Unmute.
There you go.
You have like 2 more poems.
Okay, great. All right. Okay, this is the other one that this poem was inspired by that poem, and this is the poem that went into the other guys, the LaRue anthology, called Entropy. Over the past 4 years, the government clown has been spinning the plates like you might see in a circus. One guy running around 6 impossibly slender rods trying to keep the crockery up in the air. And the government clown has been telling us the most outrageous lies during his tenure. He's got a lot of people spellbound watching those plates spin. Meanwhile, the government goons and clowns are busy taking everything that isn't nailed down and stashing them in huge underground bunkers. We, the spellbound, are slowly catching on. We're not that dumb. We hear the scuffling in the background, but the big government clown tells us to watch the plates, those goddamn plates. See how they spin, see how the light bounces off the surface. Don't look away. You're helping to keep them spinning. No distractions, please. Ignore what you and the pundits think is really going on. Or just keep watching those plates. Hypnotizing, isn't it? Sooner or later, the whole distraction will fail. The plates will come crashing down and chaos will attempt to take over. But chaos may be too sick and tired to get up out of the house, much less start anything out on the streets. Even the government clown will lose his bluster and finally become another average Joe, overwhelmed by the realization that even God can't keep the plates up and spinning forever. All right. And finally, I will read something from here, but I need somebody to give me a number around, I don't know, between 100 and 5, or 5 and 100, whichever you prefer.
Number
Anybody?
8.
Number 8. Let's see here. Okay, I'm going to have to bump you forward a little bit because that's right in the middle of all the plather I put at the beginning of the books. How about, well, that's my poem. We can't do that one. Shit.
How about 48? 48.
48, okay. I found one by Lynn Bronstein, but I'll do 48. My Space Only. It's the first poem on page 48. There's a short one and a long one that goes to page 49. My space only. The hell I choose is not for you. Personal, built from scratch, each stone, each meat hook fitted with years of work and sweat and blood, a place to suffer, to be alone, as significant as any home or memory of one. There's no room for two or three. You will find a place of your own in the void to spend your eternity. Joseph Farley, Philadelphia, PA.
Very interesting.
Yay. Beautiful.
And if anybody wants to, God forbid, buy a book, I'll give you 20% off the sale price.
Very nice. That's
Buy
a
2 books, I'll throw in a shirt.
When do you think you'll be sending out the number 9 issues?
Well, I'm just getting ready to send it to the printer, so I'm hoping to be able to start sending it out towards the middle of September, I guess. Everything kind of got stuck in slow gear because of this pandemic.
Yeah.
And of course, like a fool, I tried to do 2 big books simultaneously, and I can't do that. I forget that I can't do that. So I got so frustrated at one point that I almost threw my hands up in the air and just walked away. But I can't do that either because I have an obligation to the people that I'm publishing. So you'll get your book, and at some point we're going to have to do a really nice big Zoom reading. Won't that be exciting? Like this one, only everybody that's in this one would be part of the readership for that one because there's, a lot of poets.
I had a book reading in the parking lot of Tower Records.
Oh, in the middle of Walmart.
Well, I have a feeling that the COVID's not going to go away until summer of next year. And if it does go away before that, I will be skeptical, but I will be humbled by the fast recovery from the disease. However, if it comes back again after we think it's safe, which is what it seems to do,
Everybody sat in their cars and the speaker broadcast through their car radios.
That would be interesting.
Presented a reading. It complied with all of the distancing regulations. And I guess he sold some books. Yeah.
I just went by in San Diego. They had a service outside, the church service outdoors. Every second chair was full, right? And, it was under the tent in the parking lot. So that's doable too. But we could do a big Zoom reading as well. That'll be nice. All right. So one more round of applause for Reyna. Thank you very much. Not only your own poems, but also 2 other poets, which is very nice. Just shows you that you're a community man and you like to support others and connect to others, which is great. So thank you so very much for showing up. What's that? Joe is giving us a thumb up, I guess, for that. It was good. It was a huge, big thumb up.
That's the cleanest that thumb has been in a long time.
All right, and now I'll
you should feel
to get
honored.
back to our open mic. And last time we had Seal Borman couldn't quite connect. Seal, are you there? Yes, you are there.
Can you
hear her again? Can you hear Seal? Oh, I have to unmute her.
There she is. Oh, okay.
Where is it? Oh, no, she's unmuted.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you. So speak loudly.
I'm just going to read one short thing. Okay. It's called We Are the Future. Tears of joy and sadness are flowing every day. As we struggle to survive, it's always been this way. Nothing comes easy and nothing comes cheap. Don't let the past destroy what our future can be. We've got to dig deep, really, really deep. Deep in our hearts and soul, buried their love cold. Turn out the hate and throw away the fear. Let all mankind listen here. A close yet distant star called inner peace, surrounded by a sea of tranquility. Faith and harmony are waiting, and here's the key. To get there, I need you, and you need me. We've got to dig deep, really, really deep, deep into our hearts and soul, buried their love grown cold. Tear out the hate and throw away the fear. Let all mankind listen here. We are the future. Look into our face, all the many colors of the human race. And don't you be afraid you're gonna disappear, because there's room enough for all of us here. And you don't have to be my sister or my brother. We just got to learn to respect one another. And to get this kind of love, people will agree. It takes responsibility from all of us, you and me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Finally, we have you on mic, which is wonderful. So now our next open mic reader is Judy Barat. Please, Judy, read your poem for us.
Just one, or how are we doing?
So,
Okay. This first one is called Summer. Early memories of the shadowy grunge of the Bronx streets of my early childhood elicit pictures of colorless seasons, bare cement sidewalks, tan tenement buildings, and large lots filled with gray Quonset huts inhabited by poor families, mostly of war veterans, unable to work, who in my child's mind all seemed to have too many children. Winters didn't see many people on the streets, and the few trees in the area were bare. Snow and chill and muddy slush were everywhere. Spring was a bit brighter, though the few trees sprouted little worthy of mention. Autumn was nothing like what the song spoke about. The leaves that fell were already brown. It was only in the summer, when the heat and humidity were nearly unbearable, when the blazing sun reflected off chrome bumpers of passing cars, and some blessed soul took pity on the kids, wrenched open a fire hydrant, and cool, clean water flooded out, that the streets came alive with the laughter of children together, brown and black and white skins glistening wet, all joining in the dance of summer. And the second piece is called I Feel You. In the bright of midday, sun hot on my face, I see you, a momentary vision which warms me even more, and I feel you. I feel you in the intake of breath, at your sudden, though imaginary appearance, and in the shock of disappointment at my error. And I feel you deep in my thoughts, in every decision, your confidence that my heart knew the right path, and I still wonder at your wisdom. I feel you in the way birds feel the endless sky that allows them their freedom to fly at will without question or judgment. I feel you as leaves feel the whisper of breeze, which makes them flutter and dance, and as wind makes them sing. And I feel you in the songs you loved, in the many gifts you gave, the books you treasured, the poems that made you smile. And I feel you the way I feel music, the way it penetrates even the thickest psychic wall to create a peace that calms the spirit and soothes the soul. And I feel you when sleep is near, and my eyes close and I see you clearly. You live in me, and I feel you. That's my two.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Let me unmute myself. Oh, okay, so on the list, next we had Mariano Zaro, but he said he would like to just be a listener this time and not a reader. So the next name I have is Charles Harmon. Charles, it's your turn now. Oh.
Well, thank you, and thanks to Thelma and Rain Dog and all the wonderful poetry and people. I've been writing a lot of short haiku and tanka in the last 2 or 3 years. A lot of help from Catabella and Mariko and others, Scott. So this is going into Tanka Cafe, kind of a parallel from 700 years ago with nowadays. Accused of witchcraft, harmless old women were burned or drowned with their cats that killed rats that held fleas that actually spread plague. And this is a haiku I sent to Acorn. Kicked to the curb, kicked to the back of the bus, kicked into high gear. And this is my family. 95% of all families are dysfunctional. 5% are in denial. Only 1% of us are perfect. And this went into ribbons yesterday. Just wrote it a couple days ago. Paradox of time, infinite yet limited, and you never know just how much you're going to get. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now that we move to haiku and tanka, we can move to Casabella Wilson because she's the tanka queen of this continent, where Mariko Kitakubo is the tanka queen of Japan. So let's hear what Casabella has to say.
I learned from her.
Oh, there's Rick. And nice to see you both.
Rick will play
Native American flute of an ancient type. They went extinct, but this is a revival.
Mm-hmm. So I thought I'd tell you two tanka. I feel close to Thelma with all she's been going through. One, we've had a lot of problems in the last few years. An accident where Rick was hit in a green light crosswalk, and then a long year with a surgery at the end, which was successful. But so the first one is 20 feet in the air. First time I flew, he said. Weeks by his side while they repaired his wings. My resilient husband. Then the next year, when we had another very difficult, it was like lockdown, and then this started for a year. I wrote this poem, which won an honorable mention in Japan in the Fuji-san contest at the end. It was announced at the beginning of this year, but written while this was going on. And it was in my dream, Mount Fuji has moved to the moon. In my dream, Mount Fuji has moved to the moon. I reach over and feel your hand in mine. And this one will be in a COVID-19 anthology for emotional well-being during the challenges of COVID-19. It's a little bit of prose and a haiku at the end. Consolations. And it begins with my former husband, who I was married to for 30 years. He died of melanoma. And then this is what happened. Consolations. And interesting that I would think of writing this, right? When he died of a strange cancer, you helped me cope, lightly, gently. A year later, we married in the campus courtyard by the statue of Tenjin, patron of academics and his hard-working animal. I moved in with you, right here. A professor, 5 minutes from Tenjin, who, hit by lightning, has become a sky god of natural disasters. Now, in a pandemic, on our solo neighborhood walk, we feel protected. I know you better. We spend more time with Tenjin. Someone's offering each day on the bull's bronze hats, fresh fallen camellias. And one little afterthought, this one will be published next month in Frog Pond, and it's kind of a sequel to all of that. Sweet potatoes. My lockdown husband starts to cook. Sweet potatoes. My lockdown husband starts to cook. Thank you.
Very Casabella. Very, very Casabella.
Okay. So the next poet reader, thank you very much, Casabella. It was great to see you and a great adventure from grief and flying through the air 20 feet. I remember I visited you in a hospital. It was absolutely unbelievable. But you're so resilient and so strong, and you just survive everything, and you still are the shiny godmother of all the poets here in Pasadena area. So thank you so very much. All right, now I have a next poet from the same haiku and tanka circles. We have Scott Galasso. Not Vicky, but Scott.
I'm going to read a poem first and then finish with a haiku. The year we never saw coming. 2020. Its sound has symmetry, but infamy's mark will cling to its numeral like a cross on a hill. And those who endure will not forget this sight unseen, born in a world half away. It is not the corona surrounding sun, or a nimbus rounding saints' heads or gods. It is not the moon pregnant with promise. It's a stalker stealing breath without mercy, a killer floating on air. It's moisture staining a worker's hands, one love's poisonous kiss. What can be done with such viral fury, which respects neither wisdom or age? And who will it call today, tomorrow? This cleaver of parents from children, whose hands on glass cannot touch.
Ooh.
And I don't like to end with really serious stuff, so this one's a little bit more soothing. Curtains billow, a sea breeze caress on moonlit skin. Thank you.
Maya, you're muted.
You're muted.
Can hear you.
Unmute myself.
There you go.
Yeah, Chris SQ is then. I was just trying to figure out who's the next reader on the list. So we had Chris SQ, who is muted. So I'm going to unmute and see if he's there at this time. I asked him to unmute, and then so he's not there. So let's not wait.
Hear me now?
Go. Oh, there you are. There you are. Okay, your turn.
I'm sitting here. Okay. The poem I'm going to read you is fun for me. Those of you who's heard my stuff know that I'm a sucker for form. This has to be one of the more formless poems I've ever written. So I got inspired from my cousin who lives on a farm in Virginia and has to deal with things that an apartment in Midtown Pasadena never has to deal with. So a lot of the concepts are borrowed from him. I build a world. In 7th grade, I build a world of lumpy plaster, chicken wire, and wood. A class project shaped by 2 big hands, the rough, the smooth, the mountains, plains, and seas. Poster paint in broad strokes sketched out bright divisions of the realms of life. A little messy, hanging in the heaven of our garage, but with what I knew and what I had, I did the best I could. Now, on my polished desk, a perfect globe, glossy printed delineations clean and sharp, details precise and pure, portraying tidily certain facts but little of the mess of 7 billion souls. Reflections of reality seen only darkly, with all its misshaped blemishes. My world, the world I live in, is more like that one then than this one now. Oh, here you are. I hope you could hear that. I lost you all.
Are you done? Or you do have another one?
I have another one.
Okay, all right.
In a short one. I just need to find it. I dug a grave today. I dug a grave today for a dog that's still alive. The ground was thawed and soft after 2 days' rain. Soon I'll have surgery on my shoulder, 6 months before I can swing a pick again. Don't expect the dog to last that long. It's my girlfriend's dog, 14 years old, blind, deaf, and near incontinence. I'm not very attached. It treats me like a stranger, except at feeding time. I don't want to propagate gender roles, but as a man, I feel it's my duty to dig the graves. I also do the necessary killing and keep it to myself. She doesn't have to know there's a grave ready. I'm not attached to graves. I'm not in one place long enough. I sometimes just bag up the body and take it to the vet school. They usually welcome them for would-be vets to practice on. But she needs a grave. She needs a focus for her grief. She needs a place to go and sit and remember and cry. Like the bench on the porch I made her from branches of a storm-felled birch, where she'll go and sit and remember and cry when I'm gone. That's it.
No, I like that one. That was very.
Yeah. We have a lot of grief poems in this with us setting.
This is the season, I think.
It's the season. It's the season for grief. Very
contemplative
Thank you very
time.
much. All right, so our next person on the list is Sharon Howley, and after Sharon, I have Peter Larson. Are you there? Let's see on the.
Sharon.
Sharon.
Hi, Sharon. Come with us. Come join us.
Okay, she's doing
She's
something.
still there.
And then Peter Larson asked to unmute. I'll send a request to unmute. They're both muted right now, so.
I think she's trying to jump in there.
She's coming.
She's still muted, so I
Yeah.
to unmute.
If she has control.
The name is there on the screen, so that's progress. How about Peter? Peter, are you there? Can you read now?
Yeah.
Sharon will be after you.
Okay. Can I share my screen?
Yeah,
Sure.
so you want to share the screen?
Yes.
I have no idea how to switch it.
Well, I can. Host has disabled participant screen sharing. Okay.
Disabled?
Then let's see. Okay, never mind then, because I'd have to read it off the screen.
Maya, if you click on allow multiple participants to share, it will work.
But where do I click?
Right next to
I have to go to speaker view now. Participants.
their screen, right next
There
to
must be some instructions. Let's look first
a
participant.
little arrow.
Okay, let me, this. No, that's a group chat. That's not good. Share screen. If I say share screen, it goes to somebody else.
Participants. If you look at participants,
I
and
go
then,
to manage participants. Okay.
and then it should say multiple participants can share at the same time.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
That will work.
Well, it says mute participants, allow to unmute, allow to rename, play sound. No, I don't have anything. Locking, so it's not in here. I think we have to save it for next time. So we'll learn one at a time. We already far advanced because I was able to start the meeting and hold it. So I feel pretty happy. So Peter, you read without the screen this time, and we'll try to figure out how to share it by next month. Okay.
Yeah, there's Chris Cressy is on chat wanting to read. I can read after her.
Who?
Okay.
Chris Cressy.
Okay, so let's do it like this. So if Chris, okay,
Chris?
It's your turn then.
Okay, I'm unmuted.
Okay,
Thank you, Peter. Thank you. I have two, and they're short. First one is called sequestration. Drinking a margarita alone on the front porch on a lovely afternoon, neighborhood sounds of dogs barking, horse neighs. How I long for happy hours past, surrounded by friends, sharing libations and salutations, chattering loudly in excited tones. Current restrictions require sequestration. Innovation suggests Zoom. Zoom into hilarity. Zoom from your living room. Sounds of silence vanish. Chattering resumes. A new normal is birthed. Safe in isolation. My spirit longs to be caressed. Thank you. Okay, and the last one is even shorter, called viral survival. We are all just doing what we can, tucked away in self-isolation, venturing forth to forage in a sea of microbes, covered from head to toe. Gone are the days of carefree frolics, near-naked encounters with nature, howling at the moon, tribal rituals, gathering to dance, sing, sweat collectively, our prayers carried on smoke.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
So now we're going back to Peter.
Okay.
You too.
I have two short sonnets. That's a joke. They're all the same length. COVID sonnet number 1. No winter storm has stranded me inside. No rabid dog pack makes me bar my doors. No pitchforked peasants clamor for my hide. No Bacchae howl to strip me of my drawers. A menace far more scary lurks out there, more deadly, yet too tiny to be seen, attacking in squadrillions through the air, the illness that they call COVID-19. I've shelves of books I always meant to read, great courses on the Celts and Chalcedon, enough CDs to make my eardrums bleed, and old sitcoms and films on Amazon. It won't be for me for whom the death bell tolls while I've got 60 toilet paper rolls. And COVID sonnet number 2. Death waits for me with freshly sharpened scythe. Procrustes measures me for his machine. Medusa's headdress tenants hiss and writhe, and cannibals add me to their cuisine. If only I were not so very old, I'd ditch my mask to party on the beach, insisting plague is nothing but a cold. The mermaids whisper, stupid, each to each. But old I am, and hiding in my cave, with hordes of chocolate, navy beans, and Charmin, concocting soups, not bothering to shave, and binging Wagner's operas and Carmen. I'm hoping that the plague and evil eye will kindly chalk my door and pass me by.
Pass you by. Great, Peter. Uplifting. Thank you.
Maya, you're muted.
Are you talking, Maya?
I'm looking for Sharon. I'm looking for Sharon.
Yeah, it looks like it's on her.
I'm going to pass, Maya.
Oh, you're
I'm
going to pass. Okay. Is there
because
who hasn't
screen share doesn't work and it really requires.
What's happening, Sharon?
Yeah, I'll pass.
Okay, it's good seeing you anyway, or hearing from you.
A screen share doesn't work. Screen share doesn't work, and what I have really requires screen share, so therefore I'll pass.
Oh, you know, next time before this, just to make sure, just like Mariko did, email me what you want to share, and then I can put it, because I figured out how to toggle between my screens, but I haven't figured out how to give away the screen.
Yeah, how to let the participants do it.
That's okay. That's all right.
That's, you know, one at a time. So thank you very much. And anybody else has a poem? If not, I'll read mine. And I have a screen share for this one.
Is Elizabeth just visiting? Hi, Elizabeth.
Kainski, she's not a poet. She's a friend of mine. She likes visiting occasionally.
That's okay. Well, that's a beautiful photo of her. I'm glad.
Thanks for asking.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Yeah. She's a good friend, I guess. So.
That's wonderful. Good friend.
I'm always following you. You know that. I'm your groupie.
It's very nice to have a good friend, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Glad you joined us. Okay.
All right. Where is this? I'm trying to find my screen share, which I think was something I wanted to show you, because I wanted to read just a poem about colors. And where is this? Share screen. Basic, advanced. All right. Can you see that?
Yes.
A cosmic rainbow?
Cosmic rainbow, right?
Yeah, okay. Blue, baby, cornflower, azure, sapphire, indigo, sky, 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 sky of divine mind, sky. Infinite expanse, clear and translucent sky, calls to us, waits for us to plunge into its hidden depths to awaken. green, jade, moss, forest, emerald, grass, leaves, stems, fruit of the divine heart of the earth, fertile, abundant, teeming with life, earth surrounding us with blessings, earth calls to us, waits for us to taste its heavenly nourishment, to care for the perennial growth, to awaken. Not yet. Gold, yellow, daisy, aster, finch, sun, sunlight of time, of transition, of energy flowing from shape to shape, life to life, forming, dissolving, building up, falling down, on eternal flow of energy, power, life, calls to us, waits for us to be, to become, to expand, to awaken. Red, ruby, garnet, rose petal, wine, blood, my blood, your blood, flowing through the veins of divine body, carrying oxygen and food into all the cells, all the microscopic beings that come together to be me, to be mine, to serve the gold, green, blue, and violet. Violet, royal purple, amaranth, amethyst, iris, rainbow, flame, dancing, twirling in spirals, ascending upward, beyond, always up, connecting, linking into a cosmic lattice of timeless presence, calls to us, waits for us, to weave its liquid strands, to pleat its living braids, to ascend into brightness, into white. White, snow, crystal, diamond, white of light, the spark of light broken off the infinite pyramid of divine will, sent out into the red, gold, green, blue, and violet to explore, to experience, to live, to breathe, to cry, to laugh, to gather the fruit and bring them back untouched and uncensored. Fruit of life, my life in white.
That was so yummy. In fact, a few photos back, the white flower particularly, that the light broke through, that gave it so many levels. That one there. What is that? A rose? What kind of flower?
It's a yellow rose, and it was lighted up.
But look, yes, I know. It's amazing what your eyes saw and how it came through in the photo. There are so many shades of light and the iridescence shining through. It was just gorgeous.
Thank you.
Magical.
That's how I keep myself sane in this time, because I just sit in the garden, take pictures of what I see, or go swimming in the ocean and splash around in waves. So these are the ways of keeping myself sane and occupied when I live alone. My kids moved away. They don't like calling me, and I don't call them very often either. And if I call, they're busy doing something else. So that's how it goes.
Yeah.
And
well, I was going to message you privately.
Or go around in the garden.
I didn't mean to. I was going to message you privately, but I don't mind telling in front of everybody else. This is a very difficult format, far more different. It's harder to keep everybody focused in this kind of format as opposed to like when we're all together at the museum, for instance. Yeah. And I wanted to congratulate you. You had comments that really were relevant and related to what the readers were saying. And I was really anticipating. I wanted to hear what you had to say to see if it sort of agreed with what was congealing in my mind that I couldn't find the words to express. So thank you.
Thank you, Maya. Beautiful event, beautiful day. It was good to see all you folks. Really very, even though some of the poems were how would I say, contemplative, it was still very uplifting to be together with all of you. It really was.
That's right. Yes. Thank you very much. That was really, really wonderful to have everybody else.
People I've never met, and I'm really glad I had the opportunity to do that today too.
Hey, Charles, if you have time to look at the private email or the chat that I sent you.
Oh, and also we all got a private message chat message from RD, who has information about the website for Luma Express, so you can buy issues of the journal. And also, Thelma, you have your books are available on your press, or where do you look for the books? Thelma, could you tell us, please?
You're muted.
Unmute, you have to unmute.
Muted again. Sheesh.
Remember to unmute.
Unmute.
Thelma, you need to unmute.
Am I unmute? Yeah, okay. I was just wanted to say that we have Luma Express link in the chat for.
You're muted.
You just muted.
Suddenly mute.
It doesn't go.
You know, you can save the chat. Anyone can save it so that you can keep the links and the comments that are there by next to the chat. When you click on chat, there's something that says file, and then you click on that little box with dots and it says save chat. And so then you can save everything that's there and go back to it after the meeting.
Okay, so I'll just read that you write to RD to poetreyndog@gmail.com. poetreyndog@gmail.com, and you have a website for his books, which are on Luma Express, which is www.lamaexpress.com. And then what are the books, what is the link for Thelma? Thelma, can you tell us?
Thelma, you have to unmute. Lower left.
It did that to itself. Okay, so I just wrote mine in. It's www.goldenfoothills with an S press, goldenfoothillspress.com. All of my books are on there, both of the ones I showed today, and phone and email and whatever. So I invite you to go there, and also my Facebook page, just Thelma T. Reyna at Facebook. I'm always keeping up updates about publications and events and stuff. So thank you so much, Maya. This is wonderful.
It was wonderful to see
I love seeing everyone.
With all the problems, and thank you very much, RD. Thank you all the participants.
Thank you.
Wonderful to have you. It was wonderful to have you here and to have everybody speaking and sharing the poetry and sharing the experience and wisdom and whatever we discovered about ourselves and the world in the time of trouble. So thank you so very much, and we'll see each other in September. And I don't remember what's in September, but you'll get an email from us, and I put the blog up, and then we'll have another encounter with all the wonderful poets, and maybe by that time I'll figure out how to share and how to use more buttons. Cafabella is a mistress of this because she holds 3 Zoom meetings every week, and I'm doing once per month, so I'm a slow learner. Thank you very much again, and goodbye. Thank you, and have a wonderful month, and enjoy poetry. And
Bye, everyone.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye all.
Bye all.
Can't find the button.
Everybody.
Bye, everybody.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Leaving.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Okay, where is this?
Thanks, Maya.
I'm trying to turn it off. I don't know which to press.
That's okay.
It's always something, right?
It was great. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Oh, there.